What's going on, metalheads? You're listening to Metal Massacre, or maybe watching on YouTube. I don't know your fucking life. I'm Lucian, the weirdo with a beardo. With me, as always, the czar of motherfucking gnar, Dustin Peters.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
He's overpowered.
I'm fucking over 9,000 today. I am. It's the beginning of the sumo tournament, so my heart is full. Very hard to watch, obviously, and Japan. It kind of breaks down to one of those things when you're like asking questions about, because they're so rigid in their culture and stuff like that. Like anytime I have explaining something about anime or whatever it is, it's just like it breaks down to, well, because Japan.
Yeah,
like they're very particular. So it's very hard to watch. They've kind of nuked a couple of like the guys that are streaming it, and like they don't care. And our feeble American capitalist brains cannot fathom more viewership, more advertising space. They don't care. So it's, again, like I said, I got my stuff. I'm excited. I'm wearing my shirt, so my heart is full. Like I said, but
you watching that tonight on Twitch or something, or what are you doing?
That's only the spot. That's the only spot I can find right now, because we are up to the mercy of NHK Japan whenever they actually drop those things, and like do the supercuts. And they have not yet, even though it's like 4 a.m. on Monday for them already as we're recording this. So it's like they're behind. Hey, they're behind. I'm okay with it.
You'll have to share that in the Discord server. I think it'd be fun to watch that with people. That'd be a really good time.
Yeah, and a little watch along, and you guys can ask me questions and things like that. For sure. There's a lot of pageantry, but yeah, we're not here again to bother you with my shenanigans.
I don't know. It's just what we're up to. As you guys can see on YouTube, the wife is behind me playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
went ahead and got a laptop, and she's on it now. She is zooming. So if you hear a random like "fuck" or "why can't I find that," that's why. She's just in the background gaming.
It looks like she's doing some like high-level studio producing.
It does look really professional, like in a newsroom where they have the people in the background just like working and shit.
When they cut from like Monday Night Football to the people in the TV cut trailer.
You'll never. I shouldn't have said anything. I should have been like, she's working on some high classified stuff for the show.
Yeah,
never would have known. Yeah, I could have gotten away with it. Fuck, man.
Oh, well,
yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Follow along with us on all the cool shit we're doing, be it music, be it gaming, be it interviews, be it Deathcast. There's always something going on. The Patreon as well. Thank you if you're a patron. We are working on getting stuff updated and pushed into the future for the show. So we're going to keep adding more content that we're not putting anywhere else on that patreon.com/Metal Massacre.
I just looked at it not long ago. There's over 65 items in our Patreon already right now. So like you have episodes and episodes and episodes, and even some of the old stuff, like I said, from the other podcasts that we used to do, and like some individual like one-on-one stuff I did with Gaming Talk. Then maybe if we get some more patrons, if we can get up to like, if we get another 10 patrons in the next like fiscal quarter, I'll bring back GamePod. How about that?
I think that's a good idea. That was a good time. I think you did really well with that for sure.
Everybody likes a little dork talk, but today it's just us. We're flying solo. And then honestly, that's why we have a hell of a show put together for you today, as we always like to do our lists and things like that. And we're gonna do some album reviews. And again, thank you to all of you who have written in, commented, done anything to help share and support the show. Like we said, besides following and hitting the buttons and the subscribing, and we're episode 3 is what this one is. And so we're still booking throughout. We have plenty more locals, like we've said a bunch of times. Lots of stuff that we got going forward. But as we do, there is no shortage of guests for the show. We always want to just take some time to put to break apart the monotony. It's of the same kind of format over and over. So coming back today, we thought it'd be a fun topic to discuss some of our favorite metal album covers of all time.
Hell yeah.
Ones that matter to you, whether they're just sick looking or they're like, it's because I love the album, or it's going to be subjective between us two. And any of you, again, a great topic to write in or comment on the video below in the YouTube chat, any of that stuff. What are some of your favorites? Give us a small list. There's no wrong answer. I mean, if you like it, you like it. Like that's it. Like the Weezer Blue album, where it's just a blue.
It's my favorite album cover.
It's the minimalist expression. But like, I'm gonna take a little drink.
Sip.
It's a Saturday afternoon. Or Sunday afternoon? What day is it? I don't care.
Know. I don't know what day it is. But cheers.
There's a cheers in the back.
Cheers and all around.
Mm.
Well, Dustin, I got a wonderful one to open this up with.
Yeah, please. You go ahead.
I think this is an obvious choice. And maybe we can go back and forth here on our 5 most favorite album covers.
Yeah.
Let me pop it up here. Death Western by Spirit World. Just look at it. Just if you're watching this, just look at Death Western by Spirit World and tell me that does not look just super fun.
Oh yeah, dude. Like it's again, and if we'll do this at the top. If you're just an audio listener, we're gonna do our best to describe a little bit of it. But honestly, again,
as we're fucking talking about it, maybe go Google it as you're listening to this and kind of get the firsthand experience as well, you know,
your own eyes. But maybe you're at work, maybe you're mowing your lawn in the middle of January for some reason, and you just can't.
You never know.
You never know. But yeah, Death Western, Spirit World. I mean, not only is it a fucking banger album, which we really want to get, we'll get into a little bit later as well.
Sure. We have plans.
This album cover, and I'll let you go about it, but it's just so cool. It's one of the few by just looking at it, I think you get an idea of what the music's going to sound like.
Yeah, that is a good statement. Like you definitely get a feeling, and then while you're listening to the album and you're looking at the cover art, you're like, "Yep, this fits like 100%." I heard somebody, I don't remember where I heard this review, but somebody described this album as Slayer and Pantera getting in a fight in a cowboy bar while demons are going to war around them. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty fucking spot on. Like feels
very specific and very true. Yes.
Very true. Yeah. It's just one of those ones that it immediately catches your eye with the color palette, the yellows, the reds, the green, like witch lady in it is like well placed. Nothing in it really feels like it's too much. You know, the composition of the art is just so well placed that like you get a really good vibe from it. And it's got that kind of Red Dead Redemption kind of feel to it, you know, but there's like some evilness to it. You see like some creatures flying around in the red sun. You see the guy's eyes glowing, the skeletons and skulls on fire. Like it paints this whole like Death Western it's the perfect name for this cover and for this album too.
Yeah, they got the Arthur Morgan Red Dead Redemption looking guy for sure.
Like sheriff or whatever. Yeah, demons flying around and shit. Like,
and again, let's just say like the album hits hard. It's a great track. I think we reviewed it a while ago, and it boiled down to the idea of like it is more of the same, but that is what you want. Yeah, like the way that it stays in, it's like almost like it's playing its own character, and it's
for sure.
Really cool.
No, I love that one. Dusty, give me one of yours since I'm in control of the fucking screen right now.
If it works, again, we're doing live producing. I just threw in the chat just like a link. Maybe if you just copy and paste that or something, maybe it'll work easy.
I think it will. Let me look.
Because if that works, I'll continue to do it.
Yeah. Bolt thrower. Holy shit, I love this.
Yeah, so old 80s English heavy metal, baby.
Nice.
They're from the UK. It says right up there, Coventry, UK. I mean, bro. So if you guys haven't ever listened to Bolt Thrower, it's got the European 80s power metal style, but it's obviously very, very heavy, especially for that time. I think it was heavy for the time. Or on their Bandcamp page. But I mean, these were probably the beginnings of what, if you just like told generative AI to be like, make me a metal album cover, and it's probably going to grab some of this shit where it's like, it's hearkening back to, you know, you're having like dragons and a wizard or something fucking wild with obviously like the big logo, but it's very, like English knight, you know what I'm saying? Like there's knights in suits of armor fighting on the middle of the cover right here. It's like they're in the middle of a bloody war. There's lots of bright colors. They're really sick logo with like the stained Christian Catholic looking glass throughout all their whole thing. Like, dude, this was the first one I wanted to pop up because it is probably something I don't listen to a lot. But it is something that when I think of some of my favorite, when we decided on this topic, I was like, oh, dude, I got to go back and grab some like 80s heavy metal, bro. Like we got to get this fucking feel in there first and foremost. And there's really not much more to say about it. I would highly recommend checking out some if you're looking to get, you know, it's not like, I guess I won't say for the style of music, but if you're looking to just do a dive and just check out like, what was my dad fucking jamming to? Like this was some shit back in the day that really pushed the narrative. And like I said, I am a sucker for all things like medieval.
Yeah.
I love a medieval hardcore aesthetic like that. And it's just a bunch of buff dudes in crazy armor. It's kind of sci-fi looking in a way.
Very, very Conan the Barbarian.
I'm sure that was an inspo for this.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. But yeah, that Bolt Thrower, yeah, the Warmaster. This one was such a cool album, and it was honestly one of the first that popped to mind. With
that's awesome.
And then the rest of them came to be pretty easy because they're
that's
things
cool.
I listen to on the regular. But yeah,
hell yeah.
What's your next one?
I got the next one here. I've never really understood how to pronounce this band's name because it's a D&D character. It's like Vargwil.
Okay.
But they have this album called Oathbreaker, which actually led me to write. Led me to write Oathbreaker, the song that we have.
Yeah, I've never heard of these. Like,
let me 1 sec. While I'm producing, it happens.
Yeah, okay. while you're thinking, Oathbreaker is obviously a song from Molten, and it's got some D&D aspects to it that we love. We're dorks about, and again in metal, the lyrics matter always. So I'm not shitting on you. I'm just saying, like, in metal, sometimes like the garbled lyrics, they just kind of get away from people, and you don't care, but.
It's an acquired thing for sure. You don't just go into it understanding what everyone's saying. Yeah.
No, but then once you do like read some of these individual stuff, that's half the fun of metal, I think, is that if it is kind of gurgly, like you might not know what that guy's saying, but the inflections are sick. And if you read it, it usually does have a lot of depth, or it could just be something fucking silly like Space Vikings or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure. But these guys, their whole band is built around D&D. They're all D&D players. They love D&D. They also wear like bandanas when they play. They're very like just different guys. It's a hardcore metal band. I would say it's lightly metal, but way more slam down, hardcore beat down kind of stuff. I actually reached out to them when I saw that they were writing this about Joe Manganiello's D&D character. It's the same stuff I wrote about, just different. But this whole album is called Oathbreaker. Our song is called Oathbreaker. Their song about Archon the Cruel, his character, was called Cruel Hand. And I believe he actually took some of the real life clip of when they played this one D&D game with him, and they put it in the song. Like the beginning of it is everyone going, "Whoa!" when he stole the hand of Vecna in their D&D game. And they put that in there, and they actually like quoted some of the things he said, like it's nothing personal, baby, it's just business, is what he said when he took Vecna's hand and fucked over the entire I forget the big time D&D players. I don't remember the company's name, but it's like Matt Mercer's people. He fucked all of them over in a D&D campaign at the very fucking end and got away with it. And he was like, it's nothing personal, baby, it's just business. So they put that in as like a part of the pre-chorus or the chorus in this song. And it's a true love letter to that moment in D&D history. But the album art, dude, it's just so powerful. It's ruthless. It's brutal. Like you look at this and you just get, it's a monster of an album. And it's just an EP too. They went this fucking hard on an EP.
Yeah, it's obviously custom. It looks very hand drawn.
Yeah.
It's obviously like goblins and demons, but like the way that they've designed them is very unique. It looks like the color palettes are what really pops me here. Like it's kind of washed out and tony, but like the way that they're using that is obviously because there's like a fog of war happening, and then you can see that there's shit behind them that you're not really supposed to see exactly what's going on, and it's really grayscale, but also very vibrant, which is very hard to do.
Well, and the vibrance, the vibrance is so subtle, like the wings in this demon character. And then you look at the nameplate of like their band's name, matching the scepter, matching the horns, matching the eyes above the name. Like there's little subtleties in the inflections of the color that make it pop so much more. Like you look at it, you look straight into that demon's eyes and at its wings, and then you're looking at like the band's name, the scepter, all the, there's not a lot there, but there's so much there. You know what I mean?
There's a lot with a little.
Oh, for sure. And I just don't think it's something that's pretty rare in album art. But let me look at what you got next.
Oh yeah, this one's a classic. I'll just put it that way once you grab it. Yeah,
Ooh,
come on now.
You got
Come
it off
on now.
eBay. Judas Priest, motherfucker.
Yeah, Screaming for Vengeance, one of their
Nice.
better albums of it's honestly I think my favorite Priest album, but also because they have such a
It's so
style.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they have such a style, and then they kept this same kind of artwork style besides their logo. It just always has something like this. And
Yeah.
but this one pops the most to me. It because it really established that like Screaming Eagle thing that they have. I guess pun intended. It's from 82, as everybody here can see. So it's like again, it's got a very hand-drawn 80s technicolor kind of vibe to it. And really though, there's not much to say about this one because I think everyone's seen it. And if you haven't though, man, you are slacking on one of the greatest of all time. But
I agree. That's like there's so many artists that have mimicked this style.
Yes.
Like I've seen other bands use this style, not as well, but it's that mechanical, minimalist, traditional style with like vibrant colors. I love it.
Would be a sick tattoo, honestly.
I've seen it in like magazines, like art magazines and stuff too.
But yeah, this is one of my not only just my favorite albums of theirs to listen to, but it would be one that if it wasn't $120 for the vinyl, like we say, like we're seeing here, I'd just be hanging it on my wall or something. And I'm sure my dad's probably honestly got a copy of this in hardback somewhere.
I bet he does too.
But yeah, no, just I had to throw one out for the OGs. You know?
Oh no, that's a great one. I got one that's very sentimental, and you obviously know why.
Well. Of course, but
waiting for the load.
Yeah, we're running all of the computer's RAM to do a lot of this shit right now and just doing stuff. But yeah, while that comes up and you're doing some thinking, I'll cover some space. Yeah, I just thought this would be because I brought this topic up to us just because it's one of those things like back in the day. And still today, but in the world of digitals and singles and stuff like that, your album art really matters, obviously, because it's how you're going to catch somebody's eye.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the music video world has, if you didn't have a music video in the 80s, 90s, or thousands, your song was going to get looked down on if your music video wasn't good. So like in this day and age, though, I thought it'd be really fun to check out some of like our favorite album covers because it did mean so fucking much a lot longer ago.
Oh yeah. Like this was how you got into a band. It was like a book, you look at the album art, the cover of the book, and you're like, is this something I can vibe with? But dude, this album, Deathclock's first Death album, when I was in middle school, this is back in the days, Dustin. I don't know if you remember this, but Hot Topic used to sell CDs.
Did you know?
Way back in the day, over on the side wall, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Now it's the Funko Pop wall, but it used to be the CD wall, and they'd have listening stations. You could go in and listen to songs from albums and go, "Oh, I like this. I want this."
I forgot about that part.
This is how I first saw Deathclock. It was like right before the TV show came out. They dropped the album, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I started listening to it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm into this." And the album art immediately drew me in. Like. Fucking just looks like some Viking lore type shit. The colors were perfect. I love the lighting on them. I love how they're in the sky like a Mount Rushmore or like Valhalla kind of, but there's like dead bodies on pikes in some icy tundra. Like it was just so brutal. So brutal, in fact, that when I snuck this CD into Boys Town as a youth, they confiscated it because of the album art. That's how metal this album art is.
Dude, it rules. Like I said, the way that they've characterized almost, it's not like because caricature drawing, like it's over and cartoony and goofy, but the fact that they took a cartoon and made it look even more real than the cartoon does. Like they did something very specific with how they were trying to portray this and made them all like stone statue figurines in the sky, like you said. The color scheme, because Deathclock fans will know, as we're looking at it right now, if you're on YouTube, they're all like in different colorways and color in not by necessarily by album, because like I said, we were just looking at like the special edition one that's a different color of the same thing.
It's like red.
But they kept that theme. They played off of this first album's theme all the way through, and as they
four got to be there too. It's a reflection of one. It's
iconic. Like they did something that, again, the logo is sick. the gear in the middle, like the color. What I said at the top, the Blue album from Weezer. Like I'm a sucker for someone. Ooh, what rendition of it is this? Like, that gets me going every fucking time. And so when you have something that is like, this is it's shit. I mean, like growing up, speaking of gaming, it's like why Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and Green, if you were lucky enough to be in Japan, you just like picked. They were all the same game. It just was a different starter Pokemon. And so like you were just like, what's my vibe? Who am I? So I was always rocking the yellow, and my brother always liked red. And then we had friends that had blue, and that was like who you were. You know what I mean?
That was your identity, bro.
And the way that these albums do that, it hits me right in all the little things that make my brain tingle.
Yeah, I like that. Let's get to yours. I'm curious what you got next.
You know it.
Oh, that's classic for you.
Come on now.
I was gonna be mad if you didn't put this in there.
This was the last one you just did with Death Clock and how much it means to you.
This was yours, yeah.
Is System of a Down's Toxicity for me. And again, this isn't one that has a lot to say. It's just a Hollywood sign, but instead of them, it says System of a Down. But the deeper meaning, obviously, it's not like it was just a cool idea, but because they all lived in Hollywood, they all met in LA. Quick history on the band, if you guys don't know enough about them off the top, because it has 20 something years at this point. Serge, their singer, Serge Tankian, he's Lebanese but grew up in Armenia, and all of them, every other one of them, grew up in Armenian descent and grew up there. They met each other and at the one and only LA school for Armenians, like that. It was like a Middle Eastern cultural center where this was this place for if you're a refugee or an immigrant of any kind from that area and spoke that language, this is where you go. And that's where they met each other. And it was like in basically outside of downtown LA. So obviously they're all they call it home and they love it. And so that makes it obviously the homage they did here. But more so, everybody knows, even if you're not a huge System fan, that they're very critical of government and American politics and what the world does with the prison systems and genocides and things like that. And so too, I think it was, you can read into anything too much if you want to, but I know for a fact that they picked this on purpose to be like, we're putting ourselves on the most iconic thing in all of America and writing the name System of a Down, like the system sucks. And this is all a part of your capitalist views on every fucking, like, it was just such a good think piece to put your name on one of the most iconic things, like all of shiny things.
That's
basically.
true. It's a sobering thing looking at this album art and thinking about what's going on in LA right now.
That's also true. Like our good friend Dustin Trinan had to evacuate his house, and
he got back to his house. I just heard. The other day he got to go back. I don't think his house was struck by the fires, but I'm sure every other fucking building was, like, so our heart goes out to everyone in Los Angeles that's trying to figure things out right now.
Natural disasters are some of the, it's like it's natural. And that you can, as you're on the internet, you're going to read a bunch of conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. Who fucking knows what's really going on? But at the end of the day, loss of life and loss of property, things are just things. But definitely it's a hard time. And when something like that, or it's, we live in the Midwest where there's tornadoes can just fuck
every other fucking summer and spring. We have like terrible ones.
And hurricanes that have been going on, obviously later last year. And it's just added to the list of wild stuff that's been going on. And again, speaking of genocide and all that kind of stuff, like there's the Armenian genocide that they wrote a lot of their music about, and things that are just outside of what seems like human control, even if it's done by humans, and in this case done by nature. It's just, like you said, our heart goes out to them. But this was just such an easy pick for me. This was like, I thought of Bolt Thrower first because I was like, damn, that one sticks in my head. But then the second one was this.
I bet. Yeah, I could totally see that. My next one's probably not a surprise as well, but I'm also doing this one for Ryan. So if you're listening, this one's for you. The Fundamental Slimes and Humours by Necrogoblikon.
This is one of the more unique ones, and I thought it might be on your list, but I also thought like maybe there was just like so many to pick from. How do you choose? But
I got this on vinyl and I love it. First off, great album, great band, great album. But the artwork to me is so it's almost infectious, this style they have. The back of the album, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. It doesn't show it, but the back of the album is like goblins hanging out with all the band members' heads on pikes, and they're all bloody and dead and shit. It's very fun, but they're very self-aware, very humorous. Everything's got some fun tinge to it. But whoever the artist is that does this album is who they've done most of their stuff with, and I just love how they like did a diagram of a goblin, you know, and you like look in his stomach and there's like a beer keg and shit. It's just like stupid shit like that. He's got like a hunchback and like a fucked up spine that's in like a fucking circle and shit.
Looks like a metal game of Operation.
Oh yeah, for sure. It totally does. But this one has always stuck out to me.
Very unique
as an album cover. Yeah. So I definitely had to put this on my list. But what
Sketchings
do you got?
of a Madman. Oh, of course. Yeah, we got a couple more. But yeah, like Sketchings of a Madman, weird shit. I love this Necrogoblikon album cover. Like this one is honestly one of the more thought out and like I would say unique of all albums I've ever seen.
And you know, I'm seeing kind of a pattern here with the albums I've chosen. Like this one has a similar not color palette, but type of color palette as the Oathbreaker album. Like it's got places where it highlights with color, but it's mostly just kind of like a neutral color, you know. So it kind of makes it pop a little bit more, in my opinion. All right, okay,
yeah, no shit,
classic, right? Yeah, that's the classic.
Slipknot's first album, their self-titled one, I believe, that is just Slipknot. We're on the front where they're Sid's or no,
red jumpsuits.
Red jumpsuits. Craig's down at the bottom with the long nose. He's in the chair.
Yeah.
I wish I could have found. I can't find the inside because my dad had this on cassette.
Oh, the sleeve.
The sleeve on the inside has like some sort of like crazy like 5-armed beast like that's like wrapped in a bunch of like saran wrap and it can't move and it's like holding a bunch of shit. So it's just This was like the first time when I was a little kid that I remember looking at something and being like, I don't think I like that.
Like, you know what is this? Yeah, this makes like, me feel weird.
This is scary. Like, and then this music's not going to be good. But then how intense it really ends up being. Obviously, like the clown there, the gas mask, the big spikes, the original Corey Taylor mask, and the original jumpsuits, the big dick nose, Jory Jordison hair, and like the old mask from the guitar player Mick, like his first one. Like, dude, there again, this is something that stands out in my mind as one of the better album covers because it is literally just the band and but portrayed in a way that feels like some sort of fucked up Renaissance painting.
Ooh, like, I think that's very accurate for sure.
It's one of those things as well that like if you had never at that time when it came out heard of Slipknot, it's not something that like when you look at it that you're like, well, this is going to be metal. Obviously, this is going to be kind of fucking weird. Yeah. But then you get like, you know, obviously what Slipknot is, the weird rap rock, kind of a vibe to
new
it.
Metal shit. Yeah.
New metal, the birth of new metal around that time. Like, it's just, again, I went not deep diving like I like to generally in all of our lists. I went, all right, man, what's stuck in my brain? What can I just bring up without thinking about it? And this was like, oh, this is hands down got to be on there. It's not my favorite album cover of all time by any means. And honestly, if I was actually making a real thought out list, which we did, I probably would do a bit more thinking and find ones that maybe I didn't even listen to yet that I was like, oh, this was luring me in. But this just explains exactly where Slipknot would go to the future. Because again, they had Iowa with a big goat head.
Yeah.
It was the goat head on the White album for Iowa or this one. And I said, well, you know, just for nostalgia's sake, for me personally, I remember seeing this on cassette and listening to it with my dad driving around. And like, it made me a maggot. It made me someone that like that. I wore my Slipknot shirt at least once a week to school every single fucking week.
Hell yeah.
And like they were my favorite band besides System growing up. So like
gotta represent.
Yeah, have to, man. I only got a couple more here. I think we're both down to 5 at this point.
Yeah, so we got one more. Well, this is my last one. It's not necessarily metal, but it is a band that definitely influenced me as a kid.
Metal adjacent. Metal
adjacent, hardcore adjacent. The Used, Lies for the Liars. If you're not aware of this album cover, it's amazing. I got this character tattooed on my arm when I was like 22 years old.
Yeah.
This character's name is Chatham. And what a lot of people don't know is that there was actually, so the guy who did this album art, his name is Alex Pardee. He does all of the used album art. Very, very well known. He has his own company, Zero Friends, collaborates with a lot of people, does art exhibits yearly, like very, very, very well known artist. I actually got the chance to talk to him on the Weekly Geekly back in the day. Very, really nice guy too. But I've always loved his style. It's always just been a little morbid, a little fucked up, a little creepy.
Yeah,
I remember
uncanny.
in middle school, like drawing the mouth like that. Like that mouth that he has, it's like a trapezoid. I remember doing that because I thought it looked so cool. And a lot of his artwork I would mimic because I thought it looked so good.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know that he actually made a movie based around this character. And I forget what it's called. Digging Up the Morrow is what it's called. And it's on Amazon Prime and a bunch of other places. But there's a whole story around the art for this album and a whole movie and a whole lore, which I thought was so cool that someone would go that deep into one character that's not even mentioned in a song and be like, yeah, we're going to use this as an album cover. And it's just like the artwork just so chaotic. And
that CD looks so cool.
Yeah, it's so sketchy looking and like weird. And I love all of it, man. It's the whole vibe. It's just perfect. Like that's when I'm looking for a cool CD cover, this is like what I compare stuff to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like again, it's iconic. If you've seen it once and you see that looking thing ever again, you remember like, oh, I've seen that. Like that's something that it sticks out. It's very unique. It's one of a kind. And again, the fact that they made a whole character series off of something that was like basically a non sequitur. That was just
a cool random idea. Yeah.
That's again the things that like get my brain tingling. That's really fucking cool, man. I know it means a lot to you too. So I'm not surprised to see it on this list at all. But again, like there are so many that I'm not mentioning that are like
same. We'll have to do a part 2 to this. I think that'd be fun.
Before I even give the last one here, which I need to actually Google, my honorable mention is Cannibal Corpse. The one, the one.
I know the one.
The blood everywhere, and they're doing like an operation on something, and like it's all dead skulls. Even like the surgeons are all dead.
That actually makes me think of something. We should do the most controversial album covers.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I'm thinking of Mayhem right now.
Oh yeah, dude.
You know what I'm thinking of. So I'm like, that could be a really good episode. Let's try it. Let's do the most controversial album covers that have ever come out.
And then that one, the one with the brains, like that one, I thought about that immediately as well, and thought, you know what, no, because that's not really like my favorite of all time.
You're like, I'm gonna do more what I want, not what I know is just insane.
Because this is a subjective list. It's not like we're doing this in the way of like we're not voting it.
How did I know?
Yeah, come on now.
I knew this was going to happen.
This is my favorite album art of all time. This
cool.
is my actual favorite one. And Tool, come on now. Tool is no any of those because they all kind of blend together. Tool is synonymous with trippy. Tool is known for their artwork and all of their music videos,
visuals.
Never having them in it, always just odd visuals or like artist renditions of just like mandalas or crazy like kaleidoscope or gyroscope looking things. Like Lateralis I picked in specific just because it's probably more iconic for other people, and again it's fitting that again your last one you have and my last one I have tattooed the eyeball right here on my forearm as well. So like 10,000 Days is another one that you can kind of see that same artwork in the background. I think I picked this one here in this to show the audience because it does have those faces that are synonymous with 10,000 Days album, but it has the Lateralis like skinned man looking thing on the front with the weird eyeballs. Because I think technically like the logo for this is like that, like what it's on his hand there, that like green and red blue eyeball thing.
Yeah,
that's I believe the technical album art for this, and like where you'll see that a lot in all the other deluxe editions and stuff. But yeah, dude, I think enough said. Like, if you don't know what a Tool album looks like, I don't know what you're doing on this podcast or how you made it this far in life. But yeah, it was a no-brainer. That like,
that's awesome.
That's something that again, like I'm a big new metal dork because like growing up, like I said, like my favorite bands were like number 1 System, number 2 Slipknot, number 3 Tool. But now as an adult, if people ask me like, what's your favorite band of all time? It's Tool. Like it just is. And I know that comes with some hate. People don't understand it and people don't like it. And you know what? Hey man, guess what? I get it. Like
I'll never forget when Maynard fucking grappled that dude on stage and just held him there. I thought that was pretty fun.
Did some
very interesting dudes.
Yeah, very much so. Their live show is like nothing else you'll ever see.
I think one of my best memories doing roadie work was working a Pussifer show.
Oh, huh.
It was very fun. It was very simplistic. Really, way more simplistic than you would assume as far as stage gear is concerned. They did not come in with a lot. But it was fun. They had him up on like a second story platform with a microphone. That was kind of his thing. And then he'd come down later. And it was really fun. Really easy show. I'll say that. A lot easier than I assumed it would be. So
yeah, because of how many it's probably a lot of the light production and like the house team that's actually pushing the buttons to make the lights do stuff.
For sure.
As opposed to the amount of like equipment that you have to have.
You would just assume there'd be more stage dressing and more, going on. But
yeah,
that was very minimalistic,
Yeah, like I said, from they're like the two people back in the day that made me want to play music, besides like my dad, who's always been playing in bands and like pushing me to try stuff. And I think he's like, I think you'd be good at this. And I ended up being okay at it. But like it was like Flea from the Chili Peppers made me want to like, that was the first time I remember like listening to music, which again sounds stupid if you're like growing up listening to jazz or anything else. Like you would understand what bass is.
Sure.
But listening to rock music in specific, especially back in the day when we're talking about the 90s, guys, bass wasn't like, it was always I'm saying like in your
car. It wasn't cool like it is now.
Yeah, it wasn't cool like it is now. It wasn't highlighted like it is now unless it was very specifically trying to do that.
Yeah.
And your car, your speakers, your home audio systems, unless your grandparents had those two giant fucking huge ass 15 speakers, like you never driving around, I couldn't tell you a bass line for a single fucking thing because you never got to hear it. Our speakers
right
good. And like, but listening to Flea was like the first time I ever talked to my dad when I was like maybe 8, 9, 10 and being like, is that what the bass guitar sounds like? He's like, yep, that lower end boom boom, like that's what that one is. And I was like, oh, I think I like that. And then growing up, Justin Chancellor from Tool, to bring this full circle, that was the person I was like, all right, I'm picking up a bass. I need to learn how to play these songs. And I realized immediately how difficult and like how much modulation and chorus pedal and delay and effects and tone and string like that, like he uses to replicate that very specific bullfroggy, croaky sound that Tool has, where the bass is such a highlight. But that was the band at the end of the day, because I love listening to System, I love Slipknot. None of them maybe wanted to play music.
Yeah, Tool was the one that made you want to play.
That's where I was like, I want to do this, and I think I could. This showed me a style that metal isn't always supposed to be the most extreme. It's supposed to be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
I guess the best way to put it.
That's a great way to put it. It doesn't. There's no guide rails. I mean, there's ways to define it as such, but outside of that, there's so much freedom, in music, and I think that's so awesome. So
these are just our favorites.
This was a good list. I liked this. We should totally do. I'm down to do like a part 2, a controversial album artwork, maybe something like that would be really fun. I'll tell you what. I had a whole thing I wanted to get into today. Not doing it.
No,
I think this was good. Let's leave this here. I want to talk about this new album that's coming out before it comes out, but I want to wait because I know they're going to release like one more song.
Sure.
They're going to drop like one more song before the album drops in March. And I kind of want to get one more song under my belt to really get an intro to what I think this album could be.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I honestly, I feel like this has been a great episode as well, even though you're like 40 minutes in. If you're okay with it, I'll still give mine because I think it's topical for the time.
I'm gonna grab a Schmitz real quick. Give me like 10 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll banter with these guys because before he comes back, I think this is a perfect opportunity to again say, thank you to all of you who have showed any love to the podcast so far. We've had some great write-ins. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, or actually Spotify has comments now as well, drop them down below. We'd love to hear not only recommendations and things you'd like to hear as like topic on the show, or people you think would be great if we can reach out to them to get as interview guests, but more so, let us know some of your favorite metal album covers, or if you agree or disagree with our list, like you don't like some of these, or you thought there could be other ones from the same bands. Like if there was another ones from we mentioned with the Tool and that kind of stuff, like System has some iconic ones as well. The Hypnotize, Mesmerize, right? Like, but yeah, definitely drop that down below. And we already did all the housekeeping at the top, you guys, we won't bug you out it, but we do really have such a strong Discord community that's had about 10 people jump in just the past week. And so we'd love for you to hop in discord.gg/Metal Massacre. And then anywhere else you find us. I was just giving them the little housekeeping, just letting them know we appreciate them and that you can actually comment on Spotify now. So drop your everything down there if you're an audio listener.
Isn't that fucking wild? Like, give us your fucking input. Do we suck? Let us know. I'd rather have you tell me than just believe it myself.
Absolutely. So I will finish this because we were going to do a couple album reviews. But since he wants to wait on that one, which I totally understand, let me just bring it up here real fast so I can try and make sure I don't screw anything up because I've been listening to it quite a few times. But okay, so Paleface Swiss from Switzerland. We'll keep this kind of brief. Their new album called Cursed just came out as of recording like a week ago, like not even. I don't want to say I was sleeping on this band because I've heard them before. I've heard of them, but I hadn't really done any sort of a deep dive. And actually our good friend Josh, who I go to the gym with all the time, he was doing, we were getting some low row in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he just took off his headphones and handed them to me. He's like, put this on. I put it on and he played the basically what's like the most popular track. I'd assume it's their single. It's called Hatred. What the fuck? Like okay, so this is 9 songs. It's about a half hour. It is aggressive. Let me just put it that way. It's, as we said before, we review things we like on this show. I don't have any complaints. I don't have any issues. There's just some artistic choices that I feel like there's a song on here called Enough where it's okay. I can see that you're trying to do, it's like basically like a rap song actually, which is odd. It's rap with like a bunch of tough subject matter to it. It felt like, okay, this is you trying to come and do something trendy and popular kind of thing. But obviously I could be completely off the mark. Maybe that was like one of their favorite ones to write. I don't know.
You never know.
But what I do know is that it starts like old albums did with like a very, like the first song is basically like a skit, but it's very hard to make out what's going on. And like, it's just kind of a bunch of words and a bunch of noise and a bunch of sound. And it would be great on a vinyl. Like you can't read the track listing and it's just playing and then it kicks right into Hatred. And bro, this Corey Taylor's not dead, but this, speaking of Slipknot, feels like early era Slipknot.
Like he somehow got like reincarnated, but he's still alive.
Reincarnate, like the soul of 1999 to 02 Corey Taylor found this man and is spewing out of him. Like it is fast. It is like the lyrics are like there's half the time in these, and like, even with the gurgles and even with like deathcore, like Acacia Strain heavy lyrics and vocals, that he's basically rapping with them the whole time.
Oh, that's cool.
It's got like a quickie ass chop beat the whole time, and it keeps kind of a cadence, and it's got to be like the most words per minute in a metal song. Like it has to be, but like at the same time, it doesn't stop there. There's a couple skits, there's a couple instrumental breaks, there's a couple things, but this is monstrous. If you like beatdown, if you like not necessarily breakdown, but I'm saying like beatdown, hardcore 2-step, but then just blazing fast slam beats, blast beats, double kick, guitar chugging. It's obvious that they're like tuned. This to me sounds like a cross of Slipknot and the Acacia Strain, like into one thing.
That's cool.
With a little bit of Korn.
Yeah,
just a little flavor of Korn in there.
A little bit of that new metal flair.
And that's what the rap and like the offbeat kind of
comes in,
almost EDM style shit here and there. I'm actually very high on this album. It's something that I added a few songs into like my my like songs list. Something I'll definitely be on the gym playlist. If you're trying to fucking punch a hole through a goddamn wall, This is the album, bro. This is the album. If you're mad about something and you need something to let it out, this is your album. It holds no bars, pulls no punches. Like, this thing is one of the more aggressive. Like, it is fueled by straight anger the entire time, and it's very, very like apparent the entire time. And normally, like I said, that's not always my vibe. It doesn't have to be the most extreme or the most brutal for me to like it. And sometimes that almost makes it like not stand out if it is just like everything else, where it's just like, okay, slam, beat, blast. This is very unique. It is aggressive on all fronts. And really, there's not much else I can tell you about it besides, if any of what I'm saying, or if you're just having a fucking tough day, go blast Cursed. It is pretty good. I would say like something that we do what we like. And we don't put, but this is like, it's sitting at like an 8 for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is really good. And as far as all of their music goes, this is their magnum opus. Like, this is as good as they've been, period. And they just put it out. It's skyrocketed them so far. Like, they're over a million monthly listeners now.
Oh, nice.
They're going on a bunch of tours. This came out on January 3rd. So yeah, we're just over a week since it's released. Blood Blast distribution is under their license. They only have, let's see what their discography says, because honestly, I really don't know the most about these guys. I think they only have, they came out in 2018 with a thing called Chapter 1. Then they had a bunch of singles. Then Chapter 2, bunch of singles. Chapter 3, bunch of singles. And then Fear and Dagger in 2022. And now this, which is again called Cursed, and they have a bunch of singles. But like, they had Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and then they got away from that, is what it looks like. And honestly, I'm doing that live info on the air because this is something that, like, it just came across my radar so many times I couldn't ignore it. And then when Josh gave me the headphones, I was like, pre-workout, we're about to hit the bench, bro.
Dear God.
Yeah, like,
that's awesome.
It's I think it's not necessarily, I can't recommend it to anyone in specific. I'm just saying, hey, give it a chance. If you don't like it, I could wholly understand why, because it's a lot. You're going to be tired at the end of listening to this thing. It's an experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had to highlight it because that's why I was like, I think it's topical, because as this comes out, this release should still be in like at the end of January when we have this episode out. It'll be like a month old or less. So go run it up. If you're not going to hear it on the radio, you're not going to hear it on Sirius XM or Octane, you're going to have to find this thing. And if you can, they're very popular, but if you find it and this is where you heard it from, let us know, man. Cause let us know aggressive.
We want to know your opinions on albums as well. We sit here all day and pontificate about music and what we think is, good taste, but we're always curious to find out what our listeners actually enjoy. So if you agree with what we're saying, let us know. If you disagree, let us know twice as hard. I want to know what the Metal Massacre fans think about what we're saying. So we appreciate you guys for listening to this episode. If you've gotten this far in, it's almost been an hour. Go change the laundry, maybe start weed eating, do the next phase.
What you're supposed to do, man.
Do what you're supposed to do. We love you guys. And honestly, I love doing these topics.
Yeah, these little one-on-ones.
We do plenty of interviews. Okay, we've interviewed some legends. We've interviewed some new people. We've interviewed people from Europe. We've interviewed people face to face. But I like that we save time to just have these conversations. Like, I think it makes the show a little deeper and a little more enriching to me. To go, okay, well, yeah, we did great interviews, but God, that fucking Metal Media episode we did, like, I will always, anytime someone is like, hey, I love your See You Next Tuesday interview, it was great, I'll go, did you listen to this one? And they're like, what? And I'm like, just do it, like, it's good. Like,
yeah, when we don't actually have to like put on our host face, we have a good time just hanging out as friends and being able to bullshit. Like, these are my favorite episodes to do because the pressure's off.
Yeah, there's no pressure to sound the right way or say things the right way or not come off the wrong way or whatever. And we know each other, so there's no way that's going to happen. But like, we get to dive back into what made us who we are, and a lot of the reasons why we became friends and a lot of the reasons we do the shit we do nowadays is because of the music we listen to and the connections we formed by that music. So to me, these episodes are important. They kind of lay down the foundation for each season. I'm excited for the next one we do for this season. I think we should try to do a couple more, at least a couple more of these this season. I think that controversial album covers would be really cool. And maybe there's some other list that can spawn out of that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So.
We would love, like I said, if you're in our Discord or here on YouTube or on Patreon, we don't have a hierarchy system. If you write us in and, like I said, throw an idea out there, it might just make it to the show. And hell, you might be able to just connect with us directly, like I said, in any one of those forums. But
or on YouTube, if you're watching this right now, comment below. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Did you agree with our list? If there was ones you didn't like, why don't you like them? What you put on this list? And give us your top 5 album art. I'd love to respond to you guys and start a dialogue. But a lot of that goes on in our Discord. So if you are curious and you want to get to know us more, game with us, vibe with us, discord.gg/Metal Massacre is how you do it. It's free to join. It's absolutely free. We got people from all over the world that are constantly playing games, constantly sharing memes. We'd love to have you there. So this is us inviting you.
Absolutely. Well, I think without anything else, man, I'm gonna get out there, watch some sumo, and enjoy my Sunday.
That sounds like a really good day.
It is. But you guys have a great day. We love you, and we'll see you with another interview in our next episode.